All right, Mr. Ahmed here for 6.3. Goal for today is to identify exponential functions and also to graph them. So an exponential function is a nonlinear function. It comes in the form y equals a times b raised to the x. So we're going to see an exponent here. And a cannot be 0 because if I multiply by 0, I'm always going to get 0. B cannot equal 1. Main reason why is anything 1 times 1 times 1 is always going to be 1. And b also needs to be greater than 0, so it cannot be negative. All right, so exponential functions are not like linear functions. They do not increase at a constant rate. All right, the x will increase at a constant rate, but the y is going to be multiplied by a constant factor. So as I look to determine on the tables if it's linear or if it's exponential, I need to look for the rate of change. So when I look here, I'm going plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. Okay, so that's increasing by 1. That's constant. Here, what's happening? Add 2, add 2, add 2. So that's constant rate of change. The slope is actually 2 over 1. So this is linear. It's constant. Now this one, on the other hand, x is increasing by 1 each time, but y is being multiplied. So that's not increasing at a constant rate. It's being multiplied at a constant rate. So this is times 2, and times 2. So this one, x is increasing at constant, y is being multiplied by a constant. So this one is exponential. Okay, so it's being multiplied by a constant rate for the y. Evaluating the functions, realistically for these, we're going to need to use a calculator. Okay, and we're going to take whatever x is and plug it in. When I plug it in, I need to type it in exactly as it reads. Negative 2 parentheses, 5 parentheses. Okay, so I want it exactly how it reads. And then from there, I need to use that exponent button, this little caret. Okay, this button here is the exponent. And I'm putting in 3 for that. And I get negative 250. The reason why we want to use a calculator is because we're going to graph these. All right, so the next one, just as it is there, is how we need to type it in. So 3 parentheses, 0.5. I guess I could put 0.5. Same thing as 0.5. And then my exponent button, negative 2. And we get 12. So y is equal to 12. And you're really going to want to use a calculator for these, otherwise it's just pretty difficult to evaluate them without one. And a good scientific calculator that has parentheses would be valuable. If you can't find one, do a Google search for a scientific calculator and you'll find one with parentheses available. Okay? So, next one. Give these a try. Push pause, then come back. All right, x is increasing by 1. And y is going, what is going on here? For me to get to 8 to 4, we have to be multiplying by something that's times 0.5. Or dividing by 2. Times 0.5. Times 0.5. So it's increasing at a constant rate for the x and being multiplied at a constant rate for the y, so that's exponential. All right, here we're going up 4, up 4, up 4, minus 1, minus 1, minus 1. So that's increasing at a constant rate, decreasing at a constant rate. That is linear. Constant rate of change, this one, y was being multiplied by that constant factor. Okay, next ones, make sure, like we said, plug x in, 2 parentheses 9, close it. Got to type it exactly, raised to the second, 162. And the last one, 1.5 parentheses 2, close it, raised to the 0, 1.5. And we got it. All right, next goal here is going to be to graph. Exponential graphs are going to either go up with a nice gentle curve and then get super, super steep. And then as it comes down, it gets very, very close to touching this x-axis, but doesn't quite do it. Or it could also go down And in a similar manner, we could come from this direction. When b is between 0 and 1, it's going to be super big in the negative values and then get smaller. So when we graph these, what we're going to have to do is we are going to have to make a table. And for our table, here's the numbers we're always going to pick for x. Okay, so we make an xy chart. X, y. We're going to do -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. We have to do a couple negatives and a couple positives. So those are the values that we'll pick every single time. All right? So that's why we said we wanted to use a calculator for this. 4 parentheses 2 raised to the -2nd is 1. All right? 4 parentheses 2 raised to the -1st is 2. Now 0, 4 parentheses 2 raised to the 0. I got 4. Now I plug in 1. Eight. So it's being multiplied by 2. Our next one should be 16. It is. So we have our points graphed, all right, or plotted. We now need to put it on the graph. Nice and neat. So -2, up 1, -1, up 2, 0, we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 8. So based off this, the way that it looks, okay, we're going to go back to this, all right? In this example, we graphed y equals ab raised to the x. In this case, a should have been greater than 0. A was 4, that's bigger than 0. And ultimately, this is exactly how it looks, but we don't quite cross this x-axis. So we draw our nice gentle curve. Don't quite cross the x-axis. It gets super close, but keeps on going. Never quite touches it. And here it's getting super, super steep and keeps on going. So the domain, all the x values, goes left forever, goes right forever. The domain is all real numbers. The range, y values, it goes up forever, but doesn't go down forever. Y is greater than 0 because it never quite crosses this x-axis. It gets super, super close to 0, but never quite gets there. All right, so one more graph here. Process is exactly the same. Make the chart, x, y, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Those are the 5 points we're going to pick every time. And we just got to take out our calculator and type them in. So, negative, parentheses, 1 divide 2, close it. Raised to the -2nd is -4. Now we do that with a -1. So negative, parentheses, 1 divide 2, close it. Raised, -1, -2. Now I put in 0. Oops. Got -1. So what's it multiplying it by? Looks like it's dividing by -2. So our next one should be a decimal. Let's see what we got here. So negative, parentheses, 1 divide 2, close it, raised to the 1st, -0.5. And last value, 2. Negative, parentheses, 1 divide 2, raised to the 2nd is -1/4. That's -0.25. So now I need to graph all my points. So first point, -2, -4, -1, -2. 0, -1. 1, -0.5, and 2, we're heading to there. So our curve coming up, it will never quite cross that x-axis, goes there and goes down and gets nice and steep, right like that. So our domain again. For all our exponential functions, our domain, it goes left forever and it goes right first. So that's all real numbers. And our range, it doesn't ever cross or go up forever, but it does go down forever. It comes all the way up to 0. Doesn't quite get there. So y is less than 0. All right, that's it for today. Have a good one.